I want to talk about Bijan and Jalen Carter.
Man, you're going to put me on the spot. You're going to ask me the tough question. Yep. And I knew this was coming up, especially with the tweet, seeing that I was like, hey, the Eagles were open to considering Bijan Robinson.
We did talk about the combine a little bit. Obviously, I was able to go out there, and very great thing, amazing thing about that combine is the people that I met outside of just the players. So I was told earlier today that the Eagles are looking, that they're very open, that this was the actual words, they're very open to taking Bijan Robinson at number 10. Other names that were brought up were Peter Skoronski. I can't ever say his name. I think I said it right. Jalen Carter, Paris Johnson Jr., and a couple others. I think Lucas Van Ness was another guy he said was hot on their name. I want to talk about Bijan and Jalen Carter. Obviously, Eagles fans are stuck on Bijan and Jalen Carter for a very good reason.
Yep.
Two of the top 5 players in this draft, just talent-wise, right? I think that goes without any question. But I want to ask you, if you're in that position, if you're Howie and you're sitting at 10 and Bijan Robinson and Jalen Carter are available, who are you taking and why?
Man, you're going to put me on the spot. You're going to ask me the tough question. Yep. And I knew this was coming up, especially with the tweet, seeing that I was like, hey, the Eagles were open to considering Bijan Robinson. You know, at this point in time, I would say I would take Bijan Robinson, but I don't think that you could go wrong with either or. And I spoke about it on the show yesterday, but the situation with Jalen Carter, obviously we know that the body cam footage was released over the weekend, and really there's not a whole lot that came from that, quite honestly. I mean, you could blow it out of proportion and say, oh my gosh, it's a body cam, but like NFL teams, the GMs, the owners, like they probably already saw that. They've seen it for most likely a long time now, a couple weeks or even a month. So because you've got Dan Campbell coming out and say, interesting, we're not sure if we're going to consider Jalen Carter. You've got the Raiders saying he's off their board, which I don't know if I believe that. Why would you come out and just tell everyone? Why don't you just be like, oh, cool, let's leave it at that. But with what's come out so far, it's not a great look, but he is a kid. Everyone's made mistakes. I mean, I've made mistakes in college. I think lots of people have made mistakes. So it's to the point of, there may be some character issues, but we don't know the full story. And we may never get the full details. They may kind of be kept under wraps, but that's for the investigators to figure out and for teams to get a better idea of. But I guess that's why I would say is, as of today, without knowing the full context of what happened, what's taking place, what did he say, all these other things, I would lean towards Bijan Robinson, only because to me that feels like less of a risk. And either way, if you could tell me, hey, you know what, Jalen Carter, he's completely clean. There's no issues. There's no character flaws, because, you can also go to the point of his pro day was very lackluster, to say the least. I mean, he's cramping up. He doesn't look great in drills. He's kind of overweight. But if he's going through something very traumatic, like the experience of, losing a friend, being involved in a car crash, there's media speculation if he lied and all this other stuff, like, that's the weight of the world on your shoulders. So I can feel for him in that instance. And you know what? Maybe he wasn't able to focus for his pro day. So there's all sorts of narratives and storylines you could get into, or even excuses. But I think, again, as I said, like, as of today, I feel more comfortable to pick at 10, take a guy like a Bijan Robinson. He comes in from day one. You have no questions. We haven't seen anything, character issues, anything in the media incidents or whatnot pop up. I'm biased because I met him a week ago at a golf tournament. Very lucky to just take a quick pick and run into him. But I think he was as a lot of people say, I think the term gets thrown around maybe a little bit too much, a generational talent, because it seems like every draft there's, oh, here's this generational talent. But he's still phenomenal. And so if you add him with this offense, you just can't help but envision like all the craziness that can happen and all the scheming and everything else. The offense is already incredible, but you add a guy like Bijan, I think it takes it to a whole nother level. So as of today, and I will clarify that because I could change it, as we start learning more, because I think you can go either way, but I would say Bijan Robinson for me.
I think that's 100% fair. And I think that I've said it before too. And a lot of people have asked me, Jalen Carter, and even my girl, like I had my girlfriend do her first mock draft. She killed it. And she asked me.
She did. If we can get that, by the way, we need that.
She killed it. Yeah, she killed it, bro. I was so proud of her. But no, and she asked, she was like, what's going on with this kid, Jalen? And obviously he's so great, but how much do you factor that in? And I said it to her. I said it to a lot of the subscribers. I don't know him. If I could sit down and talk to him and realize if this was a one-off thing, it was just a mistake, then I feel all confidence in the world to take him talent-wise. There's no question about that, but we don't know. And I think Howie Roseman and this organization is one organization of kind of a few, to be 100% honest, that I trust them 100% when it comes to character issues. I don't believe that they'll take him if they have any type of doubt that he'll be a guy that will be available, because it's not just about the character. It's not just about that he made a mistake. It's the fact that he made a mistake after getting a large sum of money. That's going to happen again. He's going to get a large sum of money. How do you react to it? Did he learn from his mistakes? These are all things I can't tell you. You can't tell. We don't know. Yep. We haven't been able to meet him. So I think that that's 100% fair. And I want to even go a little bit deeper with the running back, because a lot of times I see people say, oh, it makes zero sense to grab a running back in the top 10 or with your first round pick or whatever. And to a certain degree, I agree with that. And I know a lot of people bring up the Giants taking Barkley or whoever it may be, but you look at a bad team taking a running back in the first round, I think it does have less value than a possible Super Bowl team, right? A team that's going to look to get over that hump, adding a talent that could be generational. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's a little bit different having the Eagles take a running back, whereas maybe if a Raiders took a running back, or a team that is in the top 10 more so because of their record than because of a trade? Do you think that there's a different value attached to it?
Yeah, that's a great point, honestly. I don't know if I've actually heard that made by a lot of people, Joe. So like, that's a very good point of the situation that you put someone in. And you could maybe make the case for not even just running back, but any position really, or maybe even quarterback more so. But yeah, I think you're right, because we've seen it too many times. You see a high prospect, big name running back, but they get drafted and go to a team like I can think of the first one's Trent Richardson to the Browns. And it's like, hey, Trent Richardson is awesome running back in college, but the Browns, we knew what they were. And, he didn't have a really great career with them. And so, you take a look at something like that, but you get a guy like a Bijan Robinson or any big name running back and put them behind this offensive line, this scheming. It's not like you're bringing in Bijan Robinson to say, hey, go score all these points for us, go score all these touchdowns, in an 8-man box. Because guess what? If teams want to load up with an 8-man box, then okay, thank you. RPO, fake handoff. You got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, maybe a wide receiver 3 that we go after. Yeah, it's a so much better place to be in. And there's not pressure on Bijan Robinson to come in and say, you're our guy. You're our best option on offense without a doubt, and there's no one else. He just comes in as another piece on this already high-flying offense. So I think that's a great point. Yes, if you sign him or you get him to a team like this versus, like you mentioned, a team that's more of the bottom of the league, you maybe like a Texans or Titans or, someone like that, like, yeah, it's gonna impact them a lot more. I mean, that's why I've got a lot of respect for a guy like a Derrick Henry, who was drafted and the Titans have just used him like a workhorse. Incredible. But I think, yeah, you get a guy like that, put him in an offense. I mean, I hate to give credit to, division rivals and everything, but you take a look at like the Cowboys and the Giants. They draft a guy like a Saquon Barkley, a guy like an Ezekiel Elliott. Like, Elliott came into an already established offense. He just helped the Cowboys kind of get to that next level, but he had a very good career for, 5 seasons before you kind of started to see a little bit of injuries and just a little bit of a tail off. But Saquon Barkley comes in and he was more so thrown into, hey, you need to be our do-it-all for everything. And he did great for his first couple seasons, but then he got injured and you wonder, were they asking too much of him? Were they calling his number too many times? So I'm with you. I think it's a great point you bring up, and it would make even more sense, I think, from what you say there, to get Bijan Robinson, because he's not asked to be the bell cow. Hey, we're going to give it to you 30 times a game.
Yeah, and I want to make it very clear. Anybody watching, I'm open to really anything. I really am. There's a lot of different players in this draft that I would be open to at number 10. I think that the Eagles sit in a very lucky spot. They can draft for luxury. They really can. It's not going to kill them to take a pick that maybe doesn't have the value to other teams. So I think it's a very interesting thing to talk about, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about it a lot over the next couple of weeks going into this draft.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Flyers flying on the team, touchdown, time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird gang nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randall. Season hit, early time to do him in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning